Hello, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to talk about funny random tanks y'all want me to talk about. So at number 1 we got the Object 279. Yes, the infamous UFO tank that was not actually made to withstand nuclear blast, it was made to withstand nuclear fallout, which is a completely different thing. But it was never used because Nikita Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviet Union at the time, or a later leader, didn't exactly want heavy tanks because they were becoming obsolete as, well, medium tanks or MBTs could do everything a heavy tank could, but faster. And eventually, when ATGMs were made, those were a bigger problem to heavy tanks than other heavy tanks, so the heavy tanks were just wiped out, at least made extinct in the modern day of age, because they are useless. And I mean that quite literally, they are useless. Okay, so the second tank I'm going to be talking about is the Leonardo da Vinci tank. It looked like it was made by a 5th grader that didn't know what a tank is, and I mean Dutch 5th graders, so roughly 6 to, not 8, 5 to 6 years old, roughly. And, well, I mean, he tried his best. Nobody thought of a tank before. I mean, people did, but other ways than we think of tanks now, because back in World War I, tanks weren't exactly tanks as they were now. They were slow, heavy, clunky. Carbon dioxide poisoning was one of the many things crews of early tanks had to worry about. But then you got the Renault FT, which was the first tank to have a 360 rotating turret, which basically changed the game. And that's why we don't have tanks with sponsons nowadays. But going back to the Da Vinci tank, it was pretty much the best attempt at something someone could make at the time. Well, draw, because never left the drawing board, it was just on paper. It had about, I don't know, but it had many cannons. It wasn't exactly armored, it was made out of wood. And from what I have seen from photos, it could only go a few directions, but it was steam powered, so it was man powered, literally. They had to push the tank around from the inside. And that, with dealing with poisonous gases from the cannons going off, wouldn't fare well. So that's why it was also never made. Then you got the Char 2C, biggest tank ever made. And I mean biggest, not heaviest, because the heaviest tank goes to the mouse, but the largest tank goes to the Char 2C with a crew of, I don't know, 12 or 18, something around that category. It had a Modelle, I don't know, 75mm gun that was fairly impressive when it came out, but by World War I standards it was still good. World War II, not so good, because it could only penetrate about 66mm of armor, which, I mean, it could knock out most German tanks at the beginning of the war, but in War Thunder, it can't even kill a King Tiger from the side, which, I mean, most early tanks can't kill King Tigers from the side because of lower muzzle velocities, which is basically the whole thing why we have high velocity guns and such. But yeah, it could go 15 kilometers an hour, which is pretty impressive for a tank that size. God damn, my voice. Anyway, it had a fun fact about it. It had a cupola that was spinning at 360 degrees very fast, so you could look on the inside, you could look outside, but on the outside you couldn't look inside. And it also revolves fast enough that no rifle bullet could enter, unless it was a very lucky shot, which never happened because most Char 2Cs were never used, and the last one was, I don't know, tank terms, it was just destroyed by its crew to not get taken by the Germans as a propaganda piece. And then we go over to another tank, which is pretty big, I must say, and I mentioned earlier, the Maus, the German super heavy tank with 128mm cannon, which pretty impressive. But it was useless because of its long reload time. Also the same cannon used on the Jagdtiger. But yeah, the Maus was the heaviest tank ever made, also the second largest one. It weighed about 188 tons, which is, as you guessed, pretty impressive. It also had a secondary 75mm gun that could, from what I know, only shoot heat rounds that are pretty useless. I mean, against infantry, yes, they would be useless because heat rounds are specifically made for armor, not exactly a human person. But yeah, those are the tanks I will be talking about. This is just a short preview of what I'm gonna talk about next time, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and I bet you won't, because I am pretty bad at voicing over my videos, as you can hear, because sometimes I stutter a lot, which is quite of a problem. Anyway, see you next time.